asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. This morning session is the most important of all the sessions that we will do this time. If there's one single class where you really need to be up to speed, it's this one. Why? Because in this morning session, I will take up the introductory part of chapter 1 of Panchadasi, where Vidyaranya Swami, the author, does something remarkable. What does he do? Using only logic, only reasoning and experience, he proves to us that we are existence, consciousness, bliss, Brahman. Why is that remarkable? In the path of devotion, bhakti for example, you are asked to believe. Most conventional religion believe that there is something called God and have faith and surrender and love and worship and adore, and you will get the results. If not in this life, after death. That's the path. The central thing is belief. In the path of yoga, meditation, you don't have to believe as such. Do these exercises, meditation techniques, and you will get experience. What experience? Extraordinary experience. This is ordinary experience. You see and hear and smell and touch and think and remember and desire. This is an ordinary experience. This is the experience of life which we have now. But yoga, Patanjali Yoga, promises you extraordinary experience. If there is a God, we must see God. If there is an immortal soul, I must actually experience it. So an experience, extraordinary experiences will come through Patanjali Yoga by these techniques of meditation. Distinguished from the path of belief, from the path of extraordinary experience, is this path of knowledge, where the goal is not, the path is not belief. You're not asked to believe and have faith. You're not even asked to do certain set of exercises to get extraordinary experiences. No. What you're asked to do is listen to these teachings and see for yourself. It's a path of insight. Not into extraordinary experiences. All you need is the ordinary experience of living. Nothing that Vidyaranya will speak about here is beyond your experience or my experience. It's all within our daily experience. We all have it, all the time. He will just point out something that we never noticed, never understood, never saw before. So this is the path of insight. Path of belief, path of extraordinary experience, path of insight. Insight into what? Insight into already what is there. And it should be possible. If Brahman is all the time, eternal, it must be now. If Brahman is omnipresent, everywhere, it must be here. If Brahman is non-dual, then non-dual means no second thing apart from Brahman. If Brahman is non-dual, then nothing here is apart from Brahman. If that is so, then it is something that is continuously available to us. And yet, why do we not see it? Why do we not experience it? The Vidyaranya says, it is possible. You can actually experience is not quite the right word. You can realize it as a fact of your life right now. And that's what he is trying to do in just 8 verses, which we will do today, in this session. Now, this session is structured into 3 parts. In the first part, the author will prove to us, show to us that we are infinite consciousness. Chit, the Sanskrit word is Chit. That's the first part. Then I will stop and take a couple of questions, if you have anything to say. So hold your questions about this till the end of the first part. The second part is where he will show to us that we are infinite existence. Sat. Already, right now, as an accomplished fact, that we are immortal spirit, infinite existence. That will be the second part. Then I'll stop if you have any questions, one or two questions. Then we will go on to the third part, Ananda, where he will prove to us that we are permanent and highest source of joy, the Atman, the self. We are already Ananda, the nature of bliss itself. Again, proving it to us through reason and based on our experience, already existing experience. Then I'll stop again and take a final couple of questions. So that's what we're going to do. Verse number 3. This is where it begins. Today we are going to do, this morning we are going to do verses 3 to 10. Please repeat after me. Shabdasparshadayo vedya. Shabdasparshadayo vedya. Vaichitrya jagare prithak. Vaichitrya jagare prithak. Tato vibhakta tat samvid. Tato vibhakta tat samvid. Aikarupyanna bhidyate. If this talk, this first talk is the most important of all the talks, then this particular verse is the most important of all the verses. This one, number 3. All the rest that we will do in the next few days is very interesting. Advaita, philosophy of non-dual Vedanta, very interesting. But this verse is your doorway to enlightenment. I am not exaggerating one bit. Focus on this verse. What does it say? Stage 1. Stage 2. Do I get it? Understand it? Stage 3, most important. Is it real? Is it a fact? Are they telling me a fact just like there is a lake and sunshine outside? It's a fact, not theory, not speculation, not philosophy. In the same way, what we are going to do now, is it a fact? If it is a fact, door to enlightenment is open for you. If it's not a fact, you have to keep on knocking until the door opens. Okay. Enough of hard sell. Now, let's see, what does this verse say? It says that when you woke up in the morning, you saw so many things in your room. Your eyes opened and you saw so many things. You heard so many things. And then you came for breakfast and you smelled the coffee and you tasted the bread and so many things. So you, all throughout the day, from waking up till now, we have been hearing things, we have been smelling things, we have been tasting things, touching and seeing. Form, sound, smell, taste, touch. So many of these things streaming into us. We have been having many experiences. Now the author draws our attention to the very nature of experience. What is experience? It is you, the awareness, and an object of your awareness coming together. Awareness, consciousness, sentience, whatever you call it. That one plus an object coming together generates an experience. Example. You are looking. Here is an object, a pen. Now you are having the experience of seeing a pen. What happened? You, the awareness, and this object. Of course, in between there is the light bounces off this object and goes to your eyes, and then the optical nerves transmit it to the brain somehow presents it to the mind. In the mind, a percept is generated on the form of the pen, and you have the experience of a pen. I'm leaving out the process in between. The process is, here it is physical. Light, surface. When it goes into your eyes, optical. It becomes biological after that. Goes through your the nervous system into the brain. And the biology and neuroscience will study that. After that, somehow, we don't know yet, no clue. Modern science has no clue. How does something biological get transformed into something psychological? This is what is called the hard problem of consciousness. A lot of work is going on this field right now. Anyway, I will not go into that. One of my favorite subjects, so if I start on that, it will divert it. How does something biological, something physical and biological we can understand? We understand the mechanism because biology is also part of the physical universe. But something biological, how does it become psychological? Do you understand the biological becoming psychological? Optical nerve, the nerves, brain, all biological. But then next, what happens? Miracle. You see the pen. It's in your mind. Your mind becomes active. Consciousness and mind, you have the experience of seeing a pen. What has the experience of seeing a pen? The awareness within you. You are aware of the pen. You see the pen. This step, just as an aside, I saw this discussion where they're talking about how does something physical and biological become psychological and conscious. And there's a cartoon. A scientist is deriving a result. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So 1 full of calculations, 2 is full of calculations, 4 is full of calculations, and 5 is full of calculations. But step 3 is just written miracle. And the professor is telling the student who has written this, I think you need to work on step 3. Anyway, that's an aside. So, you have the percept. Experience is consciousness plus object of consciousness. In between all the physics, biology and psychology I'm leaving out. Basically, you are awareness and you are aware of something. Right? That leads to experience. Consciousness plus object is equal to experience. Consciousness plus object of experience is equal to experience. Okay, so far? That's the very structure of experience. That's the structure of experience. Now what he's pointing out is the objects of consciousness are many. Imagine how many things you have seen since the morning and how many things are you seeing right now. They are all objects. How many things you have heard and how many things you are hearing right now. They are objects. So the objects, what you are aware of, those things are many in number, 1. But you, the awareness, you are not many in number. The same awareness. Awareness plus an object leads to an experience. Awareness or consciousness plus, this is object 1. Object 2. So this is experience 1, you will have experience 2. And then object 3, object 4. And you will have experience 3, experience 4, and so on. You have a series of experiences. The experiences are different from each other because the objects of experience are different from each other. But the awareness is the same. The same awareness, same consciousness illumines the different objects. The objects of experience keep changing. The awareness which is aware of these objects does not change. The objects of experience are many, the awareness is not many. The objects of experience are different from each other. The awareness which is aware of each of these different objects is not different, is one. I have said a number of things. I'll illustrate with examples. The objects of awareness are many. Here is one object of awareness. Here is another object of awareness. Here is another object of awareness. Om, sound. Another object of awareness. Touch the table in front of you, another object of awareness. So the objects of awareness are many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these objects are different from each other. Aren't they different? Look. 2 objects. Okay? And the objects of awareness keep changing. Here, 1, 2, 3. Continuously changing. Hence, because the objects of awareness are many, we have many experiences. Because the objects of awareness are different from each other, we have different experiences. The experience of drinking orange juice and the experience of drinking lemonade are different. They're different. Why? Because orange juice and lemonade are different. The awareness which was aware of the orange juice and the awareness which was aware of the lemonade, the same awareness. So, the objects are different, hence the experiences are different. Objects are many, experiences are many. Objects keep changing, hence experiences keep changing. Many experiences, different experiences, changing experiences, all because the objects are many, different and changing. But the awareness of them, the same awareness saw the pen, the same awareness saw the book, the same awareness heard the sound. He said, no, Swami, the awareness also changes. And sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad. Happy and sad, they're states of the mind. They are also objects. These are physical objects, mind, mental objects. You remember your name? That's one. You're remembering a word. You remember what you look like in the mirror? You're remembering a form. 2 memories. So 2 experiences. Their memories are also objects. Thoughts are also objects. Emotions are also objects. Desires are also objects. So they are mental objects. They also give rise to experiences, mental experiences. But the awareness is one and the same. This is all that they are pointing out. Very important. Look at the verse. Shabda sparshadayo vedya. The objects of experience. Shabda, sound. Sparsha, touch. Adi, etc. What is etc.? Sight, taste, smell. And inside your mind, memories, thoughts, ideas, feelings, desires. These are all Vaichitra, they are all different. There is a variety. Pritak, they are all separate from each other. When in your waking state, after you wake up from sleep in the morning, what you see around you, what you experience around you. Tato vibhakta. Important point. Apart from these objects, different from these objects, is the consciousness. Different from the objects is the consciousness. At one point we are going to go and say that the consciousness is not different from these objects, or these objects are not different from the consciousness. But for the time being, we are going to say that apart from these objects is the awareness. Apart from what you experience is your awareness which experiences. And that awareness which is different from the objects of experience, that awareness, is it one or many? I need you to be confident on this one. One. Is it changing or unchanging?
Unchanging.
Unchanging. I'll say, how can you say that your consciousness is unchanging? Aren't you bright and awake after a cup of coffee? Aren't you dull and sleepy after a Vedanta class? Aren't you angry sometimes? Aren't you peaceful sometimes? So how can you say your consciousness is unchanging? Answer that. They are mental states. Your consciousness is that which is aware of those mental states also. The mental states keep changing. Yes, we are making a distinction between mental states and consciousness. So, it is one and unchanging, and not different from experience to experience. Experiences are many. Why are experiences many? Because objects of experience are many. Experiences keep changing. Why do experiences keep changing? Because objects of experience keep changing. Experiences are different from each other. Each experience differs from the other. The experience of Vancouver differs from the experience of Loon Lake. Why? Not because the awareness is different. It's because Vancouver is different from Loon Lake. The objects are different. Hence the experiences are different. In our waking state, we have a series of experiences. In fact, what is waking except a series of experiences? Those experiences are due to the different objects of experience. But apart from the objects of experience is the consciousness. Tat Samvit. The word you used for consciousness, the special word used by Vidyaranya called Samvit, means awareness. It's exactly Chit. Sanskrit word, just meaning the same thing. Don't get too hung up on these words. They all, yeah, awareness, consciousness, sentience, whatever you call it. Remember, we're not talking about something very esoteric here. We're not talking about something extraordinary. What about, when will I experience Samvit? When my Kundalini will be awakened and then I will experience Samvit? No, no, no. Are you listening to my words now? Did you taste the coffee in the morning? Yes. That's Samvit. The coffee is not Samvit, my words are not Samvit. That which experienced the coffee and my words, that's Samvit. That Samvit is one, unchanging, and different from the objects of experience. One, unchanging, and different from the objects of experience. That's all that has been said here. Stage 1. Do I have a basic idea of what was said here? It's in the diagram. Stage 2. Do I get it? Questions. So I'll come to it a little later because we're going to go through a few more verses, then I'll finish stage 1 and then we'll have questions. And stage 3. Is it a fact? Think about what was said here. Is it a fact? You just ponder on that thing. Is it a fact? Is it something that they said? If it is so, already it revolutionizes what we thought about ourselves. Who am I? Can't you see me? Here I am. But no, if you follow that, then this which I am showing, this body, it's also an object. And I am the Samvit, consciousness, which is aware of this object. That's not normally how we think of ourselves. We think of ourselves as, here, this one. No, if you say this, immediately the question will be, are you aware of this? I have to say, yeah, I'm aware of it, I can see it, I can feel it. If you are aware of it, it's an object. You are that which is aware. You are not that which you are aware of. And it said, that which is aware, the Samvit, is different from the object of awareness. If the body is an object of awareness, then the incredible conclusion is, just as this pen, I never say, I am the pen. I say, I am aware of the pen, I can see the pen. Vedanta tells me, there is no, basically, in principle, there is no difference between this as an object of your awareness and this body which is an object of your awareness. Which is already a huge, huge step forward. If you apply it to your mind, even more incredible. I am so miserable. Are you aware of the misery? Yes, of course. In that case, it's an object. And you, the Samvit, the consciousness, you must be different from the misery in your mind. Hence, you cannot be miserable. You see the incredible thing? You say, that's very clever, but that's not true. Vedanta insists not only is it clever, but it's also very much a fact now. All you have to do is to see it. And I guarantee the moment you see it, to the extent that you see it, you will be free of depression and misery. You'll also be free of pleasure and excitement. But that does not mean that you will not experience pleasure and excitement. You will continue to experience pleasure and excitement. You will continue to experience depression also. And yet you will say, I am not depressed or I am not excited. I am the light which shines upon the excitement or depression in my mind. Think about it. Since the morning till now, how many times, if only mildly, have we been displeased or irritated? How many times have we been pleased and peaceful? All come and gone, and more to come and go. Throughout our days and nights and our months and years, so many such experiences will keep coming and going. So many little pleasures and so many little frustrations, so many little unhappinesses, so many little happinesses. All objects, you the awareness, are different from them. And as they come and go, they give you experiences of pleasure and pain and depression and peace. Tato vibhakta tat samvid. The awareness different from them. Aikarupya, it is one and the same. The awareness is one and the same. Na vidyate, it does not differ. The objects differ. The objects change. The objects are many. The awareness does not differ. Throughout our experiences, one golden thread runs through your experiences of all your life. It does not differ. It does not change. It is not many. It's one. As day fades into night and darkness descends upon Loon Lake, we fall asleep and perhaps dream. We dream. Let's go to verse number 4. Tatha swapnyatra vedyam tu, tatha swapnyatra vedyam tu, nastiram jagare stiram, nastiram jagare stiram, tadvedo tastayo samved, tadvedo tastayo samved, ekarupana bhidyate, ekarupana bhidyate. And so we fall asleep, and when we dream at night, we forget that the body is on the bed and sound asleep. But what do you experience? We experience other times and other places and other people, all imagined in the mind. It's produced, it's like sitting in front of a TV and watching a TV show. It's produced in the mind, but it seems to be very real. In a dream, we don't think that, oh, I'm seeing a nice movie produced by my mind. No. You think that's actually happening. All sorts of funny things start happening. And dreams and waking, we take them to be different. Are they really different? Advanced Vedanta would say no. But beginners Vedanta would say, okay, you think they're different? Yeah, most grown-up people, we distinguish between, adults distinguish between dream and waking. You do distinguish. Yes. Very good. We'll take it, let them be different. There is, if you go to Advanced Vedanta, Mandukya Upanishad, they say there are not 3 stages, waking, dreaming and deep sleep. Normally in Vedanta we speak about waking, dreaming and deep sleep, and we shall speak about it now. Mandukya Upanishad will say there are only 2 stages. What are the 2 stages? Dreams and sleeping. Dreams are of 2 kinds, dreams and waking. Waking is also a dream and dream is also a dream. And we sleep. Anyway, we are not going into that. We are taking a common sense approach. Since you feel that your waking and your dream are different, they are 2 different things. Dreams are just dreams and waking is real. All these are the things we feel. And Vedanta says, okay, I'll sign up on that. Now, how are the waking and the dreams different? Many ways. You might say dreams are not real. If I have 1 cookie now and 3 in my dreams, I don't say I've had 4 cookies. If I am having a pizza in my dream and I eat one slice and it's time to wake up, I don't say, let me put it in the fridge, I'll come back in the next dream and eat it up. No, because you do not take the objects of dream to be real like waking. Waking is real and dreaming is just dream, that's what we say. So that's what he says. The objects of dream are not stable. They are not really real. Whereas the objects of waking are stable. Stiram, the word stiram means they're stable. When you wake up, when you go to bed, you park your car outside. Next morning when you wake up, it's there. Unlike the dream pizza, won't be there. But the car is there. It's stable. What you left, when you fell asleep, when you wake up again, you get the same world back, more or less. So they're stable. But that's not the point. What's the point? The point is, Vedanta is not interested in your dreams. Vedanta is interested in the dreamer. Vedanta is not interested in the objects of consciousness. What is Vedanta interested in? Consciousness. Here, not here. Our entire attention, and the world and all of us, our entire attention is turned towards this. Not this way. Here lies samsara. Here lies moksha. A Swami once said to, a person came up to the Swami, was narrating his woes, and the Swami said, I am not interested in your problems. And the person was shocked, how cruel. I am not interested in your problems, I am interested in you. You see now, what are the problems? Here. And you are getting experiences. Objects and experiences. They keep coming and going. I am interested in you, not those things. So here the point is, we are not interested in what you dreamt about. We are interested in the consciousness to which the dreams appear. So the awareness which dreamt of the objects in the dream, that awareness is one unchanging awareness. The objects in the dream are many, they come and go. And yes, they are different from the waking state if you insist. But I am not interested in that. I am interested in the awareness, the one unchanging awareness, in whose light you had those dreams. That awareness continues. It's the same awareness which was there in the waking state. It's the same awareness which is there in the dream state. That which illumined your waking state now, when you fall asleep and you have dreams, it's the same awareness which continues to light up your dreams. As it is apart from the objects of your waking state, it is also apart from the objects of your dream state. As the objects of the waking state come and go, the objects of the dream state also come and go faster. As the objects of the waking state are different from each other, the objects of the dream state are also different from each other. But one thread of consciousness runs through all of them. Alright, that's the dream, fourth verse. Samvit continues through dream. Samvit eka rupa na vidyate. That one unchanging consciousness continues in dream also. It's by that light that you get dream experiences. What happens after dream? What happens after REM sleep? You know, you have heard of REM sleep, non-REM sleep. So we go into deep sleep called sushupti. Deep sleep, where you do not dream. You are neither awake nor are you dreaming. What do you experience? You have no objects of experience. All the objects are wiped out. All the objects are removed. A blankness. So consciousness, according to Vedanta, consciousness continues in deep sleep. Our normal reaction to deep sleep is, you know how we understand deep sleep? We understand deep sleep as all the objects are there, the waking world is there, but my consciousness has gone away. So I am not experiencing anything. After all, what is experience? Consciousness plus object is equal to experience. Our normal understanding is, objects are there, I have lost consciousness, so I am not getting any experience, and that's deep sleep. That's anesthesia. That's being unconscious. Even the word we use, unconscious. Vedanta insists it's just the opposite. Consciousness continues, but there are no objects to experience because the body is asleep, the senses are not getting objects. The mind is asleep, so there are no dreams. The gateways of the objects, the senses, have been shut down because you're sleeping. The mind, which generates dreams, shut down. No mental objects, no physical objects. Hence, the objects are not available to consciousness. Hence, you do not get experience. Experience requires two things. Consciousness plus object. If you remove object, you will get lack of experience of objects. In fact, what Vedanta says is that in the place of all the objects, there is a blankness. There is a not knowingness. And consciousness shines upon that not knowingness. Hence, when you wake up, you have a feeling, I slept deeply, I slept like a log, I did not know anything. I did not know anything, I slept like a log. How do you know that? Our normal idea of deep sleep is, it's an absence of experience. Vedanta says, it's not an absence of experience, it's an experience of absence. Prove it. Can you prove it one way or the other? Vedanta claims that yes, we can. If it was an absence of experience, no experience, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep is not an experience, there's no experience there. If you say that, then you know what would happen when you wake up? You would say, I was awake, I went to bed, and I had dreams, and I'm awake again. But we don't do that. We say, I was awake, I went to bed, I had dreams, and there were periods of complete blankness, and I'm awake. Periods of complete blankness, how do you know that? It's also an experience, because consciousness can illumine, this is important, consciousness can illumine the objects of experience, and consciousness can illumine the absence of objects of experience. I am seeing you now. My eyes are open. If I close my eyes, we normally say I'm not seeing, but it's also true I'm seeing blankness or darkness. Seeing never ceases actually. Right now, if you blink your eyes, you close your eyes, you will see a darkness. That's also seeing. You're seeing the absence of objects. So deep sleep is also an experience. It's an experience of absence. And for that, consciousness must be continuing in deep sleep. We come to verse number 5. Supto thitasya saushupta Supto thitasya saushupta Tamo bodho bhavet smritihi Tamo bodho bhavet smritihi Sachava buddha vishaya Sachava buddha vishaya Avabuddham tattadātamaha Avabuddham tattadātamaha Suptothitasya. After waking up from deep sleep, we have the recollection. There was a period of blankness, tamo bodho, and an experience of absence, an experience of nothing, an experience of darkness. We have that kind of recollection. Now you cannot have a recollection without a prior experience. So, sacha avabuddha vishaya, every kind of recollection is always of some experience in the past. Recollection is of some experience in the past. So, in deep sleep, you must have experienced blankness. It was not an absence of experience, it was an experience of absence. Which means, the point being, in deep sleep also consciousness continues. Verse number 6. Sabodho vishayat vinno Sabodho vishayat vinno Nabodhat swapna bodhavat Nabodhat swapna bodhavat Evam sthanatrayetyeka Evam sthanatrayetyeka Samvittatvaddinantare Samvittatvaddinantare That consciousness, that one, it is different from the blankness which it experiences. Just like this consciousness is different from the objects of the waking state. This consciousness is different from the objects of the dream state. This consciousness continues to be different from the blankness of deep sleep state. And hence, evam sthanatrayapyeka, in all the three stages, waking, dreaming and deep sleep, there is one unbroken, unchanging consciousness called Samvit. This unchanging consciousness which experiences waking, body, external world and mind, which experiences dreaming in the mind, experiences blankness in deep sleep, that unchanging consciousness. This is the story of one day, from waking to dreaming to deep sleep, one day. Next day's story, Tadvad Dinantare, same story. And the day after that, same story. Waking, dreaming, sleeping. And the week after that, same. Month after that, year after that, same story. Waking, dreaming, sleeping. Series of experiences, that's what's happening. The next verse, the 7th verse, which is where I will stop. The 7th verse is a very powerful verse, very poetic, very grand verse. It draws a conclusion from what we have been doing so far. What's the conclusion? Masabda yuga kalpeshu, Masabda yuga kalpeshu, Gatagamyeshu nekadha, Gatagamyeshu nekadha, No deti nastametyeka, No deti nastametyeka, Samvid esha swayam prabha, Samvid esha swayam prabha. Beautiful verse. This Samvit, consciousness, swayam prabha, self-effulgent. Self-effulgent means just like everything in the room is dark, it cannot reveal itself. When you switch on the light reveals everything in the room. And the light, what do you need to reveal the light? Nothing else. The light reveals itself. You don't need to switch on another light. Similarly, consciousness is that which reveals everything in the universe and itself at the same time. Swayam Prabha, self-effulgent. What does it say about it? Days pass, months pass. Masa means months. Months pass. One consciousness, the objects keep changing. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Then you, the consciousness, unchanging, immortal, unchanging. As the months pass, the years roll by. Abda means years. And over the years, as the body changes and ages, death might come to the body. The consciousness remains completely unaffected. Yeah, hold your questions. You can ask after this. Consciousness remains completely unaffected. Yuga, eons may pass. Many bodies may come and many bodies may go. Many days will pass as the sun wheels across our skies. Days and nights come one after another. Objects of consciousness keep changing. The consciousness is one and unchanging. Across eons, across cycles of time. Kalpa. Hindus have very huge scales of time, millions of years, hundreds of millions of years. So across oceans of time, one unchanging consciousness. Gata gamyeshu anekada. Many ages and eons have, millennia and eons have passed. Many more yet will pass. Consciousness remains one and unchanging. No deti nastameti. This sun of consciousness, it's like compare it to a sun which neither rises nor sets. Udeti, rises. Astameti, sets. It neither increases nor decreases. Neither rises nor sets. What? Not the sun. You, the consciousness. Rising and setting means birth and death. There is no birth for you, the consciousness. There is no death for you, the consciousness. Birth and death are for the body. So this immortal, unchanging consciousness, you are, and I am, and all of us are. This is what we are. This is the thesis. I have concluded the first part, Chit. 3 stages. What was said, stage 1. No mean feat in itself, just to think, this is the argument we went through now. Stage 2, do I get it? This is where the question should be. And stage 3, is it a fact, is it real? Questions? Please raise your hand.
So Maharaj, if the consciousness is always there, so when a child is born, he still has the consciousness, but how?
Look at the language. The question was, if consciousness is always there, when a child is born, does he still have the consciousness?
Yes, supposed to be,
So,
according to
this
this.
is the question. Look at the language of the question. A child is born. What is born?
Body.
Body. When you ask, does he still have consciousness? What you're basically asking, does that body still have consciousness? You're still thinking of the body as having consciousness. Vedanta reverses it. Look at your own case. Is it true that you are a body with consciousness or a consciousness aware of a body? Where is the body? Where will you put it? Here or here?
Consciousness.
Let me ask you a question. Do you experience your own body? Do you see it? Do you feel it?
Yes.
Is the body an experience?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Nobody doubts that. The body clearly experiences. Nothing else I experience the body.
Right.
Now experience is always consciousness plus object. Is the body an object of consciousness?
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
No?
Yes. The body.
Look at it.
Body,
Yes.
body is the
Yes.
object.
Body is an object of consciousness. You see it. You touch it. You feel it.
Yes.
You don't take a bath for 2 days, you smell it. So, the body is definitely an object of consciousness. Does it change from childhood till now?
Yes.
Yes. It differs. It changes continuously. It's a changing object of consciousness. You are the consciousness. Now, if you rephrase your question in the light of this, then the question will be, I saw the birth of the body. Definitely you saw the birth of the body in your awareness, in your consciousness. Is there awareness there also? Quite possible. You did not see the creation of consciousness. You saw the creation of a body.
Right.
Question? Yes, the gentleman there.
Yeah, I have a sense that it's not possible for me to experience consciousness according to what's on the board. Can I have an awareness of consciousness?
Right. It's a very subtle question and a powerful question. Look at the way it has been put there. What can you experience? Objects. When an object comes in front of consciousness, you have an experience. So what are you experiencing? An object. Right? In every experience there is an object. So is consciousness an object? No. Consciousness is the pure subject. What you truly are. What do you mean by pure subject? Is there an impure subject? Yes. It's when we add objects to consciousness that the subject becomes impure. The real subject is this. Samvit. And when we add objects to it, what do you mean add objects to it? When I say, I am standing here, then what I'm doing is I'm adding the body to the consciousness. I consciousness plus body, I'm standing here. When I say, I weigh 150 pounds, I'm not saying consciousness weighs 150 pounds. I'm saying consciousness aware of an object called the body which weighs 150 pounds. Correct? So that's an impure subject. But the pure subject is consciousness itself. You, what you truly are.
Brahman.
That's a name, we'll come to it. So what you truly are. Remember, what we are doing here is a very rigorous exercise. We are not importing concepts. We are being very loyal to our experience. The more you stick to the truth means truth of your experience. The more you leave out philosophy and words, the more you will understand what he's trying to say. He is very strictly, very honestly, very finely reporting your own experience. The more you stick to that, the advantage is, the more you stick to your own experience and follow this, the more chances that there are of seeing the truth. Because he is seeing the truth and he is reporting it to you. Just stick to your experience. The moment you say Brahman, has he used the word Brahman? What is the word Brahman? Do you experience anything called Brahman here? Stick to your experience. Otherwise you will float off on fancies of theory and abstraction, and which is alright, but you'll miss enlightenment by a million miles. Stick to your experience. As you are experiencing the universe right now, you have a chance of enlightenment. Alright, now I'm coming back to your question. I'll answer that very sharply there. Can you experience consciousness? We have already said, note one thing, we have already said consciousness is not an object, clearly not. It is the subject which shines upon the object. Okay? And hence, you cannot experience consciousness as an object. But, here is the interesting thing. I'll just give you a hint, because there will be enough time for us to go through that. Here is the technique. In every experience, what is experience? A combination of the subject and the object. Consciousness plus object, right? So, if you look at your experience, it's two things. It's you, the consciousness, plus an object. In every experience, because these two things are present, not only the object of experience, but the subject is also available. You can see mystified expressions. I am saying something very, very simple, like our attention is so much on the object, we miss the subject. If I show you this, what will you say it is? You will say it's a pen. I will say no. It's a pen plus light reflecting off a pen. In fact, the only thing that is going into your eyes is the light reflecting off the pen. The pen cannot go into your eyes. You will have to be rushed to the emergency room if it did. Your eyes are meant only for receiving light. Of the million things that you see, the eye does not receive any one of them. It just receives the light reflected from them. But we forget the light. We say this is a pen, this is a microphone, this is a man, this is a woman. No. All that you are actually physically receiving from the world outside in your eyes is light. In the same way, follow this carefully, everything that you experience as an object is shining in your consciousness. Otherwise you could not experience it. So every experience is of an object shining in consciousness. Is this clear? So that means every experience is consciousness plus object. In every experience, you, the consciousness, are being revealed. Not as an object, as the subject of that experience. Let me give you some little application of this. In Hindi they say rahasya, the secret. This is a profound secret. For example, how do you use this? In every experience, consciousness is revealed. I'm not saying experienced as an object, it is revealed. Just like light, the object is shining in light, every object that you experience is shining in your consciousness. Hence, whenever you experience something, our tendency is to focus on the thing being experienced, not on the experiencer. Right? I'm seeing a pen. My entire focus is on the pen. But can I use this pen to become aware of the fact that I have got eyes and my eyes are open? You sit for meditation and the air conditioner kicks in or there's a door slamming and your normal reaction is, oh, I want peace and quiet and I want to meditate on the Atman, and this slamming of the door and this air conditioning and in India if you're there, the mosquito buzzing. What would the Vedantin do? The air conditioner kicks in, the hum is revealed to me by me, the consciousness. That slamming of the door, in a flash, it reveals something to you. Where is the slamming of the door except in your consciousness? Everything that happens in the world will reveal to you the pure consciousness that you are Samvit. Without that, you cannot experience. Even the most disturbing experience you have, irritating experiences, they are revealing to you that you are pure consciousness, one and unchanging. Without this consciousness, how would you experience something irritating? Somebody wrote to, I think, Swami Vivekananda or the Holy Mother, I forget. And when I sit for meditation, the factory horn sounds. In the old days for shift, changing of the shift in factory, it would be a big horn. It sounds, it's so disturbing. I think they wrote to
Thakur.
Thakur
told this one.
And the answer was, concentrate on the horn itself. What happens is, it's revealing to you the consciousness within. To a Vedantin, I've known, actually Swami is using it. A drill outside. You cannot meditate, it's horrible. It puts that person into ecstasy. Because that roaring, vibrating sound is manifesting an ocean and abundance of consciousness to you. You cannot get away from it. Because it's so powerful and coming at you all the time it's revealing to you that you are awareness. Okay, it's an application. One more question. I'll come to you.
Just a comment. In physical sciences, the scientists concentrate on the objects and their
Yes.
process. But in modern times, the quantum physics recognizes that we have observables outside and also observer. You have to admit both. That's the
Yes.
concept.
And his work, for those who do not know him, is an eminent physicist. His work he has pointed that out in his work. And in an article also. Yeah. Last question.
All right, many questions came to
No,
mind,
just one.
But I can ask you. This keeps evolving as you say more. So, consciousness, at least from where I'm looking at it here, it seems more intangible than awareness. So, what is the relationship between consciousness, awareness, and the the five senses that we have? Are we perceiving? Are those the instruments that we're perceiving?
All right. Here I'm not making a distinction between awareness, consciousness, sentience. Let's start with, I can make the distinctions. But in English the words are not precise. In Sanskrit the words have very precise meanings. But I don't want you to go into that right now. Yes, they are different. Pure consciousness, very intangible. There is an awareness that we feel in the mind right now. It's more tangible. And it becomes more tangible when we have sense experiences. See, touch, smell, taste. So there are these gradations. These gradations are caused by the mind and the senses, not because of pure consciousness. Right? So we'll just leave it at that. But you just take awareness / consciousness / sentience in a broad sense. As what you feel all the time. By which you feel the universe. All the time available to you. If you want to answer that question, make a fine distinction, which you should, then from your sense of awareness remove any object. That final objectless awareness is pure consciousness. We'll stop. Now I'll go into the next part. We run out of time already, it doesn't matter. This thing has to be done at a stretch. The next part, no verse. It's implicit in what has been done. I'll give you the reasoning behind it. What are we trying to prove? That this pure consciousness is also pure existence, unchanging, immortal existence. Undying, uncreated existence, Sat. How do you prove that? Simple logic. I'll give it to you, see what you think about it. It's implicit in this discussion. He has not given a separate verse for it. Borrowed properties are invariably lost. Blue sky. Now it's blue. At night it will be dark. In early morning, a rosy hued red. Now, red and darkness and blueness are not the intrinsic property of the sky. It's because of the play of light and the clouds and the moisture in the air. You get different colors in the sky. The sky itself has no color. Is that right? Note one thing, that the different colors, even the lake will have different colors depending on the light in the sky and the clouds in the sky and all that. So it will differ. Now, these properties, these colors have come into the sky and gone. One sign of the property is borrowed or not is it comes and goes. Anything that comes and goes is borrowed. Somebody said these days you cannot recognize who's truly rich because everybody has got fancy gadgets and cars and clothes, but a lot of it can be borrowed on credit. It's only when you see the house being repossessed or the car being taken away you realize, oh, not really, really rich, but it was a borrowed thing. Because it came and went. It was borrowed. So the sign of a borrowed property is that it comes and goes. Okay with me so far? It could come, it can go away. Now, if you treat existence is not a property, but if you treat it temporarily as a property. If existence is borrowed, then what will happen to the entity which borrows existence? Existence will come and go if it's a borrowed property, like money coming and going, like the blue color coming and going. So existence coming and going. Existence coming and going is another fancy way of saying it will be born and it will die. It will be created and it will be destroyed. So borrowing existence, we mean birth, creation, coming into being. Losing existence, death, destruction, losing our life. Now my question is, if something does not have existence as a borrowed property, if it has existence as an intrinsic property, I'll give you an example which will illustrate the difference. When you boil a potato, so the potato is hot potato, and when the potato is hot, is the heat intrinsic to the potato?
No.
Was it always hot?
No.
Will it always remain hot? No. It's borrowed its heat from the boiling water. After some time it will become cold when you serve it on a plate. The water, is it always hot? No. It became hot because it borrowed its heat from the hot saucepan. After some time it will become cool again. The saucepan, is it always hot? No. It borrowed its heat from the fire beneath it. After some time it will become cool again. The fire, is it always hot? So mechanically somebody is saying no. No! As long as the fire exists, it's hot. Isn't it? As long as the fire exists, it's hot because heat is an intrinsic property. In a common sense way we say, heat is an intrinsic property of fire. Fire doesn't have to borrow heat from anywhere else. It neither borrows nor loses heat. As long as the fire is burning, it will be hot. Okay, so this is the difference between a borrowed property and an intrinsic property. Now imagine, if something had existence as an intrinsic property, what would happen to it? If something has existence as a borrowed property, it would be born and it would die. It would be created and destroyed. If something has existence as an intrinsic property, what would happen to it? It would always be there. It would never come into being. It would never go out of being. It would never be born. It would never die. It would never be created nor destroyed. It would always be there. That which is always there unchangeably has existence as an intrinsic property. Repeat. That which is always there must have existence as an intrinsic property, not borrowed. Right? What did we find just now? Samvit, Chit, is always there in waking and dreaming and deep sleep as the years of our life go by, in lifetimes and lifetimes, in eons. Samvit is always there, neither rises nor sets. So this always existing Samvit must have existence as an intrinsic property, which means this existence and this Samvit must be one and the same thing. This is called Sat, pure existence. The Samvit is also Sat, because it exists all the time. It does not borrow existence like borrowing heat, like the potato borrowing heat. It does not borrow existence. Existence is intrinsic to it. This intrinsic, inherent existence, in philosophical terms, necessary existence. This is called Sat. And this is sort of implicitly understood, no verse. I will not take questions now. I will complete the Anand aspect and then we'll stop. We have run out of time, but I expected that. But this thing has to be finished at one go. It's like a performance. You can't split up a musical piece into pieces. It has to be performed at one go. It's really a remarkable performance by Vidyaranya. Now he goes on. He has to prove that this pure consciousness, Samvit, is not only pure existence, but it's also pure bliss. Your nature is pure bliss. It has to be proved. And this he's going to do in 2 verses. Let's do that. Remarkable arguments. You never thought of, we never think in this way, but it's a very new way of thinking. Verses 8 and 9. Iyam atma parananda, iyam atma parananda, para premaspadam yataha, para premaspadam yataha, mana bhuvam hi bhuyasam, mana bhuvam hi bhuyasam, iti prematmaniksyate, iti prematmaniksyate. First he is going to prove that the self within, you yourself, are the source, permanent source of happiness. Permanent source of happiness. And the next verse he will prove, you yourself, the self within, is the highest source of happiness. Permanent and highest source of happiness. I am my own permanent source of happiness. How do you prove that? Alright, the logic is like this. Follow this. This is a closely argued thing. And it's a very interesting piece of logic. It goes like this. Whatever gives me happiness, I like. With me so far? Whatever gives me happiness, whoever gives me happiness, what action gives me, job gives me happiness, what place gives me happiness, what food gives me happiness, whatever it is, I like. What I like, I try to keep. I try to get it, I try to keep it, preserve it. So the logic is like that. Happiness, liking, keeping. Or the other way around. If I try to keep something, it's because I like it. If I like it, it's because it's giving me happiness. The reverse. If there is something that does not give me happiness, makes me unhappy, I don't like it. It could be a person, it could be a place, it could be a food, it could be anything. I don't like it. And that which I do not like, I try to get rid of. I try to get rid of it. Okay? No? I like this iPhone. It's making me happy. So what happens? I like it. If I like it, what do? I must purchase it. I must have it. Happiness, liking, get it. But then what happens? They put up an advertisement, iPhone 7, the new one. Immediately, that which was giving me happiness was I liked it, and I kept it. What happened now? Apple has, they are very clever. They've hit at the root. Now it's making me unhappy because in comparison, iPhone 7 is better. The same iPhone 6 now doesn't give me happiness because the new one is there. The moment that same phone does not give me happiness, what will happen next? I don't like it. What will happen next? Get rid of it. Replace it with another one. Whether it's an iPhone, or a person, or a job, or a place, whatever. Same psychology works. All the time. Same psychology is working. This is the basic DNA of our likings. The structure. Now, with this in mind, the rest will be simple. We apply it to yourself. We never say, let me not be. We always say, let me be. Immediate question might be, what about suicides? But suicides, those who want to kill themselves, the doubt will be, they are saying that let me not be. Isn't it? Let me die, let me not be. But that's always because there's a problem in the world, maybe a financial problem or a relationship problem or a disease or a mental problem, something. The moment you solve that problem, that person doesn't want to die anymore. I have an enormous debt, I can't pay it off, I'm going to shoot myself. Wait, we'll pay it off for you. Okay. Now, aren't you going to shoot yourself? No, why should I shoot myself? So shooting myself is not the point is the debt. Similarly, left to themselves, nobody would want to cease to exist. Now apply this logic. I do not want to cease to exist. I never want to get rid of myself. One. If I never want to get rid of myself, I always want to keep myself, then I must always like myself. If I always like myself, then I must be always a source of happiness to myself. Happiness, look at it if you have taken notes. Happiness, liking, keeping. Keeping myself, preserving myself all the time means I like myself all the time. I like myself all the time means I am my own source of happiness. And the doubts you may have, you can work out for yourself. You say, no Swami, I don't like myself, I often hate myself. But you hate something about yourself, not your pure being or pure existence. Not the fact that you are. Something contingent which can be changed. That's what I'm overweight. I need to lose weight. I hate myself. Somebody said like that. All that is nonsense. It's something that has been put into our minds, especially by modern culture, Western culture. I remember in India, especially until say 50 years ago, I think for centuries, if you were overweight, it was a sign of being good. I mean, like it's nice that you're overweight. If food is a problem in a starving population, being overweight is a sign of prosperity. I mean, in rural India, they used to have, you see a fat kid, they would say, "Khate peete ghar ka hai." The boy comes from a house which is prosperous, they have nice food to eat. So anyway, the point is, your pure being itself, you never want to get rid of. You want to change something. That's all. So you never really hate yourself, you always like yourself. You liking something means a source of happiness. You like yourself, you are your own source of happiness. Permanently. Logic, one point. I told you it's a strange way of thinking. But try to argue around it, you cannot. Alright. The second thing is our next verse. Not only are you your permanent source of happiness, the self is not only the permanent source of happiness, it's the highest source of happiness. Let's see. Tat prematmarthamanyatra tat prematmarthamanyatra naivam manyarthamatmanaha naivam manyarthamatmanaha atastat paramam tena paramanandatatmanaha paramanandatatmanaha. Alright, what's the logic here? What's the reasoning here? Another very interesting way of thinking. Listen to this. It's like this. If something is loved for the sake of something else, something is loved for the sake of something else, then you love this one more than this one. What does it mean? Mother loves the toys of her baby. Now why does she love the toys? Because they belong to her baby or to her child. Now whom does she love more, the toy or the baby?
The baby.
Obviously the baby, you're laughing. It would be a weird mother who loved the toy more than the baby. Though it's not, anyway, irrelevant thing I shouldn't say, we're really out of time, so I should finish this. So the mother loves the baby more than the toy. Love the toy for the sake of the baby, so the baby is loved more than the toy. Everything is loved for the sake of the self. The self is not loved for anything else. Everything in the universe that you love, it's because it makes you happy. And you don't love yourself for anything else. If you love something for the sake of another, that one is loved more. Everything is loved for the sake of the self. in that case the self is loved the most. Remember the earlier logic. What do you love? That which makes you happy. What do you love more? That which makes you more happy. What do you love most? That which makes you most happy. You love the self the most. The self is the source of the highest happiness. There's the story of a young executive who said, I love my job in this big multinational corporation. I love my job. And he was told by his philosophy teacher that, yeah, you love your job. All right. In that case, you can go on doing your job. You won't be paid for it. No. I need the money. I need the money. I mean, okay, I love the money. That's true. All right. You love the money. All right. You will be paid. You will get the money, but you won't get to spend it. Just the money will be there. No, what? That's crazy. I need the money for buying this, so many things, you know, so many nice things. I need to buy those things. So, all right, you can spend the money for those things, but you can't use any of them. No, I need to use it for my family. I need the vacation and the nice school and the car and the house. I need them for my family. Okay, you can use all of them for the family, but they won't be your family anymore. No, it has to be my family. So ultimately it comes down to, remember, Vedanta never tells you to be selfish. In fact, it can explain unselfishness better than anything else. The person who says, I'm not doing things because of myself. I do things for others. I like making other people happy. I like solving the problems of other people. Vedantin will say, look at your language. I like. When you are unselfish, when you make a donation, when you see the smiles in the faces of other people who need your help, does that make you happy or unhappy? Happy. If it made you unhappy, you wouldn't do it. So ultimately it makes you happy. In fact, you are selfish but in a much more wise way than the other person who is selfish in an otherwise way. Those who are altruistic, those who are unselfish, it is their own self which they are making happy, but in a wiser way. They are doing it for the biggest self. But still, the point still holds. Ultimately, everything is because of the self. The self is loved above everything else. When you love it in a small, mean, individual sense, it's called selfishness. When you love it in a mature way, knowing that doing things for others makes me truly happy, then you are called altruistic and unselfish. But the Vedantic point still holds. It is the self alone which is the object of greatest love in the universe. That which you love the most is something that definitely makes you the most happy. Otherwise you wouldn't love it. So the self is the source of the highest happiness. Verse 8 said, self is the source of permanent happiness. Verse 9 says, self is the source of highest happiness. Congratulations, you've come to the end of the road. We have made this presentation now. And we end with the 10th verse. Vidyaranya ties the strings together. 10th verse. He concludes the performance. Itham satchit parananda, itham satchit parananda, atma yuktya tatha vidham, atma yuktya tatha vidham, param brahma tayoshchaikyam, param brahma tayoshchaikyam, shrutyanteshu padishyate, shrutyanteshu padishyate. Hence, in this manner, we have proved the self. Atma means the self. You. You are Sat Chit Ananda. We have proved that you are pure consciousness. We have proved that you are undying and immortal pure existence. And we have proved that you are the highest bliss. Atma, you. I won't even say Atma. The author says Atma, but our thing is, the mind plays tricks. Swami, you just proved that the Atma is existence, consciousness, bliss, but doesn't solve my problem. You are the Atma. That's what you are. You are this awareness here. Okay. It has been proved just now. You are some with pure consciousness, pure existence, pure bliss. Sat Chit Ananda. How did we prove it? Yuktya, by reasoning upon available experience. Never once did we speak about having a vision of God or nirvikalpa samadhi or nothing. What did we speak about? Waking, dreaming, sleeping, loving, existing, all the things that we experience all the time. Just by reasoning upon that, yuktya, yukti means reasoning. Reasoning upon already available experience, we have proven you are of the nature of, you are Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. Okay? Now open the Upanishad. Open your Vedanta book. What does it say? Brahman is Sat, Chit, Ananda. It defines. You use the word Brahman. You open the book, you will find in the Upanishad you come across this word Brahman. What is Brahman? Sat, Chit, Ananda. We say, hey, wait a minute. Didn't you just prove that I am Satchidananda? Yes. And the Upanishad says Brahman is Satchidananda? Yes. In that case,
I am.
Tayosh Chaikyam, the oneness of the Brahman of the Upanishads and you. What does it mean? Something very profound. It means two things. When you say, I am Brahman, Satchidananda. Now we know the meanings of Chit, we know the meaning of Sat, we know the meaning of Ananda. More or less, you've got an indication. What do they mean by Chit? What do they mean by Sat? What do they mean by Ananda? We've got an idea. I am Satchidananda means I am not the body. This body is not Satchidananda. I am not the mind. I am not even this little person, this personality. I am Brahman means all of these things. That's why Shankaracharya, when he sings, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham, I am of the nature of Chit, Ananda, Shiva, nature of that. Before that, what does he say? Mano Buddhyahankara Chittani Nam. I am not the mind, not the ego, not the memory, not the intellect. I am not the five senses. I am not the body made of the five elements. Then only I can say Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. Why am I not those things? Those things, remember, they are objects. You are the awareness of those objects. Again, not theory. I am not pushing you into it. I want you to see it. If you see it, your job is done. All that you need to do after that is to abide in that seeing. If you do not see it, then I will tell you to study. And I'll tell you to meditate. And I'll tell you to do all sorts of spiritual practices for the next 45 years. What will happen? At the end of it, you will see it. So it's good for you if you see it right now. Param Brahma Tayoshchaityam. Param Brahma, the Supreme Brahman, is Satchidananda. And that they are one and the same. First thing is, you are Brahman means you are not the body, not the mind, not the person, not the intellect, not even the memories. They are all objects in your light. That's one. And the second one is even more overwhelming. I said it means two things. It means one thing is that you are not the body-mind complex, you are Satchidananda. The other one, the obverse of it is even more radical. I am Brahman means Brahman is I. Other than you, there is no Brahman, there is no Shiva, no Father in heaven, no Allah, no Nirvana, Moksha, nothing other than you. Yes, that's what it means. You are nothing other than Brahman, and Brahman is nothing other than you. Swami Praveshananda, the story about him, he is a disciple of the Holy Mother. A monk, a very senior monk, told me the story. He used to go to Swami Praveshananda, who was a disciple of Ma Sharada, who was regarded as an enlightened person. So this monk who told me the story, he said that when I was a young student, I used to go to Swami Praveshananda, and once I bowed down to him, and the old Swami, he leaned over, he was sick in the bed, leaned over with his trembling finger touched me in the forehead. And I sort of jumped suddenly. It's so startling. And he said, I'll tell you in Bengali and then translate. Oi, 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 je chomke utlo, o chhada kono shala bhagavan nei. He said, that one which reacted in startlement, other than that, I'm going to translate literally, don't be shocked. Other than that, there is no rascal called God. No rascal called God. Kono shala bhagavan nei. Plain language, rough language. That pure consciousness. Remember, I'm not telling you the person. Oh, I am John, so I'm using John is God. No. What is John? If you mean the body and mind of John, then no, it's an object. Pure consciousness, the awareness in which John appears. That awareness. That's common to all of us. That awareness and this awareness here are not different. Bodies are different. Minds are different. Personalities are different. Personal histories are different. But the awareness is impersonal and one everywhere. Other than that, he said, there is no such thing as Brahman or God. And other than Brahman, you are nothing else. This has been demonstrated by our reasoning so far. But we have run out of time completely. Is it 1 o'clock?
1:03.
Yeah, we shouldn't be late for lunch. Okay, that was some performance. Hold it, hold the questions. I think it's better to go for lunch and then after the second session we can discuss it in a more relaxed way. Whatever has to be said has been said. You can even pack up and go. But don't. Whatever happens after this, for the rest of the retreat is, you'll see many questions come. When the intellect starts thinking about these things, you'll see many discussions will be there. So only those questions will be answered. But what you need for enlightenment has been said here. And I would say the door is the third verse. Just relax and focus on it and see it for a fact. And the threat is, if you do not see it for a fact, you have lifetimes of spiritual effort before you. And at the end of it, you'll only see it for a fact. That's all. It's a fact right now. It's not that it will become, you'll become pure consciousness afterwards. No. You are that right now. Why not see it now? Shorten the painful process. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna